Notre Dame is favored by 10.5 points over the Pitt Panthers, and both teams sit at 7-2. Notre Dame's coming off a massive win over Navy, which one could classify as essentially a bye week, and Pitt's coming off a legitimate bye week. Over under in this game's 55.5. This will be attended by College Game Day, and it's a very important game, contrary to what maybe Pat Narduzzi said in his press conference for this game. Makes me a little bit nervous for the outcome because that type of stuff can bleed into locker rooms, either his own locker room or Freeman's locker room. And I'm anxious to see how this pans out. But this is a massive game for playoff implications. If Notre Dame wins this, they're certainly in, because I don't see how they're losing any of their remaining games if they win. This channel will make you a college football expert and help you enjoy watching games and make more accurate predictions. So what are you waiting for? Like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, comment your thoughts, and watch the video all the way through so that you can get the full package. And check the description and pinned comment for more ways to help yourself and this channel. Here, if Pitt wins this, I mean, they're not a shoe-in because they already have 2 losses. And unlike Notre Dame, their remaining schedule of at Georgia Tech and hosting Miami is not containing any guaranteed wins. But a 10-2 Pitt, maybe even if they lose in the ACC championship game, could they get in with that big win over Notre Dame and other wins over Miami, hypothetically, and Georgia Tech? This is a massive game for both of these teams. So let's look at Notre Dame first. Notre Dame, after this, has to play Syracuse at home. It's an auto win, and then you have to travel to Stanford. Traveling to Stanford could always be tricky. Stanford's played some teams close, and it's on the road, but I imagine that's an auto win for Notre Dame, the caliber of program they have. This is their toughest matchup. They have dominated most of their opponents ever since their loss to Texas A&M, where they started off the year 0-2, losing to Miami 24-27, and Texas A&M at home 40-41. Blew out Purdue, blew out Arkansas, blew out Boise, blew out NC State, beat USC by 10, struggled against Boston College but still won, and then blew out Navy 49-10. The strength of this team is their run defense, their rush offense, and a passing offense that is extremely explosive. I believe C.J. Carr leads the nation in yards per pass attempt. It's a pretty incredible operation, especially offensively, that Mike Denbrock runs, and Marcus Freeman, of course, running this, commanding the entire team. Passing defense has been sketchy, and special teams recently has been an abject disaster. Looking at Pittsburgh, they stand at 7-2. 5-1 in the ACC. Obviously, Notre Dame doesn't play in a conference. That's why we didn't talk about their conference record. But they're pretty close to an ACC team. They have a deal with the ACC. That's why they're playing Pittsburgh here. Ever since their loss to West Virginia in overtime, Louisville at home, both by 1 score, they benched Eli Holstein, and they are starting a new, actually true freshman quarterback. And they have Desmond Reed, they have Kenny Johnson, they have a good enough offensive line, and more importantly, their defense with longtime defensive coordinator Randy Bates is been able to force a lot of pressure and turnovers and really keep them in games. But true freshman Mason Heinzschel, I think is how you say his name, he's really the story of Pitt this year, and he has helped resurrect Pittsburgh and their season with his success. Stepping in as a true freshman, his QBR is in the top 40. This final stretch between Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, and Miami, they're not going to win all these games, but I have a feeling with how they've played, they're going to at least win 1, if not 2 of these games due to the location, the caliber of teams they're playing, and how good this quarterback has been for them. The young true freshman quarterback, Mason Heinzschel. Hopefully I'm saying his name properly. If not, of course, feel free to correct me down in the comment section. Love any corrections you guys have and hearing your thoughts and conversations and engaging in dialogue with you. What piques my interest about the Irish and the Pitt Panthers and this matchup between them is how the stadium A is going to be pretty empty, so it's going to be a sleepy place to play. But both of these teams need this game, and they need it in the worst possible way because a loss kicks them out. A win doesn't guarantee anything. Close to Notre Dame, but any given Saturday. Pitt, it doesn't guarantee anything. And Pitt playing the host in a very sleepy environment. Notre Dame has been just straight up better at home than they have been on the road. I mean, look at A&M lose by 1, arguably should have won that game, and A&M's now 9-0. They beat USC handily at home. Miami isn't the team we thought they were at the beginning of the year. Lost 2 games. That is not the greatest loss in the world. The Boston College game was on the road. Arkansas, very good win, but Notre Dame was up for that game, and you could tell on the field that Arkansas quit. So it's an interesting set of circumstances that we have here. And these teams, Notre Dame's clearly the better team. They're first in points per play right now. They are rising defensively in points allowed per play. Their defense is very stout against the run. Against the pass, not so much. Outside of really A&M and on paper, USC and Miami too, they have not faced a lot of wonderful passing offenses. I think they're better than they were preseason, but I still think they are susceptible. Don't know if Pitt's the team to take advantage of that, though. Kenny Johnson's a good receiver. Reed is a great receiving back. Mason Heintzel's been an impressive quarterback, but it's going to take a lot to move this Notre Dame defense. For Notre Dame, pay attention to C.J. Carr and then the running backs, Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price. That's among the best trio of skill position players in college football. And Jared Dawson, their cornerback Leonard Moore, who I think is the best cornerback in college football, certainly. The rest of the secondary is the problem, not him. And then Notre Dame's leading tackler is Drake Bowen, but their highest graded linebacker per PFF, Kingston Viliamu Asa. Pay attention to those players for Notre Dame. This is a Notre Dame team that's younger than it was last year, but they have a lot of upside. They're one of the best teams in college football. I put them in that second tier below who I view as the top teams, with room to move up depending on how they look in November and in the playoff. For Pitt, Mason Heintzel, Kenny Johnson, Ryan Baer. Pay attention to them. Baer is their best tackle. Kyle Lewis, Rasheem Biles, and Cruz Brookings, those are their best players on defense. It's a defense with Randy Bates that loves to get after the quarterback. They love to blitz and line up in a ton of man and get picks, return them to the house, and really change the impact of games through their defense. The quarterback situation, I say obviously lean C.J. Carr and Notre Dame, but the young quarterback for Pitt, Heintzel, is good enough with a fair completion percentage, a passer rating of 150.8, a QBR in the 70s, 12 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions. He's shown to be at least decently mobile to where he could be a threat to this Notre Dame passing defense. Obviously, C.J. Carr, if he handles pressure well, if Notre Dame's O-line is able to pick all of that up, and he's able to get it to his receivers, he could have a field day here with this style of defense. But he could also, as he has an 83.3 QBR, but he's had some up and down moments better as the season's gone on. With this being one of the better defenses he's played and how good Pitt is against the run, he could also find himself turning it over. C.J. Carr clearly has the edge here. Just an interesting conversation to have. I wonder, too, because Pitt is good enough in their passing offense to present some challenges, if Notre Dame locks down this Pitt passing offense, I think there could be a legitimate conversation to be had that maybe it's no longer a weakness and it's just one of the weaker parts of the team, because there is a difference in that. The keys to the matchup all resolve, I think, around a few things. They resolve around explosive plays, quarterback play and run defense, and then pass rush and special teams is gravy or things that will decide the game if the first three are all pretty much even, which I don't quite think they'll be. Quarterback play, I think, goes to CJ Carr, but you also never know. I mean, Heinzel's played well enough to where he could randomly on any given Saturday outduel CJ Carr. In run defense, when you look at rushing success rate, Pitt is third, only allowing a 31.9% rushing success rate. Notre Dame's fantastic against the run. Their success rate allowed is a little bit higher, but they also have played better rushing offenses, USC, A&M, for example, technically Navy, although they know how to read that offense. So Navy isn't as challenging for Notre Dame as other schools that don't play them every year. When you look at pass rush, the havoc rate forced by these defenses is 43rd for Notre Dame with a 13.7% havoc rate. For Pitt, it's a 15.6% havoc percentage. That's 13th nationally. With the explosive plays, it goes both offensively, because Notre Dame's secondary has allowed big plays. It goes for Pitt's secondary because with the defense they run, they will allow them if they do not totally get to Carr or get in his head. And both defenses, they love to force interceptions and fumbles. They can score touchdowns here in this game. A tiebreaker that goes Pitt's way is special teams. Notre Dame has only made 62.5% of their field goals. They haven't had to kick many field goals this year, to be fair, but recently they've been an absolute disaster in the kicking game. Pittsburgh's made at least 90% of their field goals. So if this comes down to a game where maybe you have to kick some field goals here and there, that certainly favors the Pitt Panthers. That favors them. Notre Dame, 10th ranked. They're the better team. They're power rated 5th in FPI. They're 6th in ESPN's efficiency metrics. Pittsburgh is in power ratings. Live research here, people. By the way, in efficiency metrics, Pitt is 25th exactly. Better on defense and special teams than they are offensively, but good enough offensively. In FPI, they are 33rd with a 7-2 record. So when you look at power ratings and the trip Notre Dame has to make, they should be favored by around 11, the Irish should be. This line's bouncing in between 10.5, 11.5. I think the line in terms of who should be favored is correct here. What I think is interesting is how Notre Dame is the better team, but I think that Pittsburgh, part of it is because they have to throw a lot, but with the young quarterback and with Kenny Johnson, and also the fact that Pittsburgh's pulled this stuff off before. I am leaning one way. Part of it's because I've picked Notre Dame to miss the playoffs, and I'm going to ride with that because Boston College game, the first 2 games of the year, the Purdue game, and even the USC game where, USC didn't pass the ball well against Notre Dame, and at the time I thought, Notre Dame's secondary's gotten better, and then they went on the road to Nebraska, and Nebraska's secondary, don't get me wrong, is really, really good. But I don't think it's elite, and USC could not pass the ball on them at all. I just think USC is a little bit worse than I previously expected. That's why they're no longer in my top 10, even after beating Nebraska and handling Northwestern. So I do think Notre Dame is going to lose this game. I'm just riding with it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I will admit to it. And look, if Notre Dame wins this game, they're a lock for the playoffs. They're ranked highly enough to where a 10-2 Notre Dame is guaranteed to get in. They are definitely a top 10 team. Power ratings say they're flirting with top 5. Don't disagree with any of that. And I do think Marcus Freeman is a great coach with a great team. I believe Notre Dame, even if they win this game, still more of a 2026 team than a 2025 team. They should basically bring everyone back of consequence, including the quarterbacks, and they should at least bring one of the running backs back. Though maybe I'm mistaken there. Notre Dame should win this game, though. I should be wrong. I'm just calling a shot of mine. I think that Pittsburgh, with their style of defense and with the offense they have, is either going to get destroyed or they'll play Notre Dame close enough, and with the special teams and with the fact that their defense, along with Notre Dame's, can also make big plays, they'll just win outright. It feels like that type of game where it's going to swing big one way and the game won't finish about where the spread expects. So I'm going to roll with Pittsburgh to win and to cover. Looking at the ACC standings here, Pittsburgh is currently tied for first with SMU, Virginia, and Georgia Tech. I don't think they'll win out. I'll say it here. If they lose this game, I'm definitely picking them to beat one of Miami or Tech. I'm honor bound by that. I think with the type of team they are, the fact they get 2 of these final 3 games at home, and Pittsburgh's a very ugly, boring place to play, I do think that they're going to pull at least 1, if not 2 of these games off. They, though, need to win out or drop this game and win the remaining ACC games to get in the playoffs, though. Because if they win this game but lose to one of Miami or Georgia Tech, they're not getting to the championship game, and a 3-loss Pitt is not reaching the college football playoff. I think Pittsburgh gets the upset. We'll see if it happens or not. It's a risky prediction, likely to end up wrong. If we're right, we'll just get credit for being right, but if we're wrong, we'll admit to be wrong, and that'll go against us. Thank you for watching. It's my mission on College Football with Sam to make you the most informed, knowledgeable, and entertained fan as possible. We aren't perfect, but we hit the nail on the head more often than we hit our thumb with the hammer. Make sure to like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, comment, and if you're here, you've probably already watched the whole video. So thank you for doing those things.